The chip that shouldn't exist was sitting right there on the lab bench. When TechInsights engineers in Canada first cracked open the cryptocurrency mining machine in late 2022, they expected to find another generic processor. What they discovered instead would send shockwaves through the entire semiconductor industry. The chip bore SMIC's markings, but its architecture told a different story. This was 7-nanometer technology, supposedly impossible for a company cut off from the world's most advanced manufacturing equipment. The reverse engineering team ran the tests 3 times, certain there must be some mistake. The transistor density, the power efficiency, the architectural design, everything pointed to a technological achievement that violated the fundamental assumptions of modern chip manufacturing. Without access to extreme ultraviolet lithography machines, the consensus among experts was absolute. Producing chips below 10 nanometers was physically impossible. Yet here was proof that China's largest chip maker had done exactly that. This wasn't supposed to happen. When the United States placed SMIC on the entity list in 2020, the message was clear. Without ASML's EUV lithography equipment, China's semiconductor ambitions would remain forever stunted. The machines, each costing over $200 million and produced exclusively in the Netherlands, were considered as essential to advanced chip manufacturing as oxygen is to breathing. Industry leaders spoke with certainty about China being relegated to producing outdated technology, trapped perpetually 3 generations behind the cutting edge. The discovery sparked frantic activity in semiconductor labs across the globe. Engineers at TSMC, Samsung, and Intel scrambled to understand how SMIC had achieved the impossible. The initial theories ranged from industrial espionage to secret equipment purchases through third parties. But as more chips were analyzed, a far more unsettling truth emerged. SMIC hadn't stolen or smuggled anything. They had rewritten the rules of semiconductor manufacturing itself. Deep ultraviolet lithography, the older technology SMIC was forced to rely on, operates at 193 nanometers wavelength, far too large to directly create 7-nanometer features. It's like trying to paint a miniature portrait with a house painting brush. The physics seemed insurmountable. EUV systems, operating at just 13.5 nanometers, were specifically developed because DUV had reached its absolute limits. SMIC's approach was audacious in its simplicity and staggering in its complexity. Instead of trying to overcome the wavelength limitations of DUV, they embraced them. Using a technique called multi-patterning, they would expose the same chip layer multiple times, each pass adding finer details to the pattern. Imagine creating an intricate drawing by layering transparent sheets, each containing part of the final image. Simple in concept, nightmarish in execution. The challenges were immense. Each additional patterning step introduced opportunities for misalignment. The costs multiplied exponentially. What TSMC could achieve in 1 EUV exposure might require 4 or even 5 DUV exposures. The yield rates should have been catastrophic. The economics should have been impossible. Yet somehow, SMIC made it work. Industry veterans were stunned. The implications rippled far beyond technical specifications. If SMIC could produce 7-nanometer chips without EUV, what else might be possible? The entire framework of technology export controls, carefully constructed over years to maintain Western technological superiority, suddenly looked fragile. The assumption that controlling access to key equipment meant controlling technological progress had been shattered. The geopolitical earthquake was immediate. Washington's carefully crafted strategy to contain China's technological rise had a gaping hole. Policymakers who had confidently proclaimed that export controls would keep China 10 to 15 years behind were forced to confront an uncomfortable reality. Innovation, it seemed, could find a way around even the most sophisticated barriers. For SMIC, the breakthrough represented more than just technological achievement. It was validation of a philosophy that necessity truly is the mother of invention. Faced with seemingly insurmountable restrictions, they had done what innovative companies throughout history have done. They found another way. The multi-patterning approach wasn't elegant, it wasn't efficient, but it worked. The cost implications were staggering. Industry analysts estimated that SMIC's 7-nanometer chips cost anywhere from 30 to 50% more to produce than equivalent chips made with EUV technology. In the cutthroat world of semiconductor economics, such a disadvantage should have been fatal. But SMIC had something their competitors didn't: a captive market hungry for advanced chips and a government willing to absorb the additional costs in pursuit of technological independence. The yield rates remained closely guarded secrets, but industry intelligence suggested SMIC had achieved something remarkable here too. Through meticulous process control and advanced computational modeling, they had managed to achieve yields that, while lower than EUV-produced chips, were commercially viable. Each successful chip rolling off SMIC's production lines was a small miracle of engineering precision. The breakthrough also revealed an uncomfortable truth about the semiconductor industry's assumptions. For years, the narrative had been that only a handful of companies possess the expertise to push the boundaries of chip manufacturing. SMIC's success suggested that expertise could be developed independently, that there were multiple paths to the same destination. The monopoly on knowledge was breaking down. The ramifications extended deep into America's strategic planning corridors. In classified briefings, defense officials grappled with a new reality where technological superiority could no longer be guaranteed through export controls alone. The Pentagon's assumptions about maintaining a permanent edge in artificial intelligence and advanced computing suddenly looked dangerously optimistic. If China could innovate around lithography restrictions, what other choke points might prove illusory? The timing couldn't have been worse for Western policymakers. Just as artificial intelligence was emerging as the defining technology of the 21st century, China had demonstrated an ability to produce chips capable of powering AI applications. The 7-nanometer node wasn't just about smartphones or laptops. It was the gateway to neural processing units, machine learning accelerators, and the computational backbone of modern AI systems. Dr. Sarah Chen, a former Intel engineer turned industry consultant, observed a critical shift in Silicon Valley's mindset. The response from Washington was swift but conflicted. Some voices called for even tighter restrictions, arguing that if China could achieve 7-nanometer with DUV, then access to any advanced equipment should be completely severed. Others warned that excessive restrictions might accelerate China's drive for complete technological independence, ultimately backfiring on American interests. Behind closed doors at ASML headquarters in the Netherlands, executives faced their own dilemma. The company's monopoly on EUV technology had seemed unassailable, but SMIC's breakthrough raised uncomfortable questions. If customers could achieve competitive results without EUV, what did that mean for ASML's future pricing power? The company's stock price fluctuated wildly as investors struggled to assess whether SMIC's achievement threatened or validated ASML's market position. The human story behind SMIC's breakthrough was equally compelling. Teams of engineers had worked 18-hour days for months, pushing DUV equipment beyond every specified limit. They developed new photoresists, created novel mask designs, and wrote millions of lines of code to optimize every aspect of the manufacturing process. It was a testament to what determined engineering could achieve when failure wasn't an option. Industry insiders began drawing parallels to other moments when technological constraints had spurred innovation. The Apollo program's computer systems, built with primitive technology by modern standards, had put humans on the moon. Japan's automotive industry had risen from post-war devastation to global dominance through relentless innovation. Now China was writing its own chapter in this narrative of constraint-driven advancement. The economic calculus was shifting too. While SMIC's chips cost more to produce, China's vast domestic market provided a cushion unavailable to other manufacturers. Government subsidies, estimated at billions of dollars annually, helped offset the cost disadvantages. More importantly, for applications where having any advanced chip was better than having none, SMIC's breakthrough changed everything. Major Chinese technology companies began redesigning their product roadmaps around SMIC's capabilities. Alibaba accelerated its AI chip development programs, Baidu expanded its neural processing unit designs, Huawei, perhaps the biggest beneficiary, finally had a path to advanced processors for its smartphones and 5G equipment. The ecosystem effects multiplied rapidly. The technical details that emerged painted a picture of remarkable ingenuity. SMIC hadn't just copied existing multi-patterning techniques, they had innovated on them. New alignment algorithms reduced overlay errors. Novel etching processes improved feature definition. Advanced metrology systems, many developed in partnership with Chinese equipment manufacturers, provided unprecedented process control. It was systems integration at its finest. Dr. Michael Torres, who had spent 15 years at TSMC before moving to academia, offered a sobering assessment. The ripple effects reached into unexpected corners of the global economy. Rare earth element prices spiked as China doubled down on securing materials for domestic chip production. Universities in Beijing and Shanghai saw explosive growth in semiconductor engineering programs. Venture capital, both domestic and international, poured into Chinese chip design startups, betting on an ecosystem that now had a viable manufacturing base.
China.
The moment China unveiled its anti-stealth radar at the World Radio Detection and Ranging Expo in Hefei, the Pentagon's decades-long advantage in stealth technology began to crumble. This wasn't just another military showcase. It was a declaration that the invisible had become visible, and the hunters had become the hunted. Picture this. American F-35 fighters, each costing over $100 million, suddenly vulnerable to detection by Chinese radar systems that can spot them from hundreds of miles away. The stealth aircraft that once flew undetected through enemy airspace now face a new reality, where their primary advantage has been neutralized. These next-generation radar systems don't just detect stealth aircraft, they track unmanned aerial vehicles buzzing at high altitudes, and even nuclear-powered submarines lurking beneath ocean surfaces. The implications ripple far beyond military strategy. When China demonstrated these capabilities, defense analysts in Washington scrambled to reassess every tactical assumption they'd held for the past 2 decades. "We're witnessing a fundamental shift in the balance of power," noted one senior military strategist who requested anonymity. "What took us 30 years to perfect, they've countered in less than 10. But radar technology represents just one piece of China's technological revolution. On December 29, 2024, something extraordinary slipped into the water at a Shanghai shipyard. The Type 076 amphibious assault carrier Sichuan isn't just another warship. It's a hybrid beast that defies conventional naval categories. Equipped with electromagnetic catapults previously seen only on America's newest carriers, this vessel launches fixed-wing aircraft and drones with the efficiency of a full-sized carrier while maintaining the flexibility of an amphibious assault ship. The electromagnetic catapult system alone represents years of compressed innovation. While the United States spent billions developing this technology for its Ford-class carriers, China integrated similar capabilities into a smaller, more versatile platform. The Sichuan can project power across the Indo-Pacific, launching drone swarms for reconnaissance or strike missions, while simultaneously deploying Marines for amphibious operations. It's not just matching American capabilities, it's creating entirely new operational concepts. Meanwhile, in the skies above Chinese cities, another revolution unfolds daily. The C919 jetliner, once dismissed by Western aviation experts as an inferior copy, now carries hundreds of thousands of passengers across China. 5 aircraft operated by China Eastern Airlines have completed over 2,100 flights, accumulating more than 6,000 flight hours. Each successful landing represents another crack in the Boeing-Airbus duopoly that has dominated commercial aviation for decades. The numbers tell a story of rapid maturation. Where early flights faced skepticism about reliability and safety, the C919 now maintains operational tempos matching established Western aircraft. Passengers boarding these jets might not realize they're participating in a geopolitical shift, but every ticket sold reduces China's dependence on Western aviation technology. Yet perhaps the most unsettling development for Western militaries comes on four legs. At the 2022 Zhuhai Air Show, China North Industries Corporation unveiled quadrupedal robotic systems that move with eerie biological precision. These aren't remote-controlled toys, they're AI-powered platforms capable of autonomous navigation, obstacle avoidance, and mission execution. They traverse rubble-strewn battlefields, climb stairs in urban environments, and operate in conditions that would sideline human soldiers. The civilian market tells an equally compelling story. Magic Adam's emotion-simulating robotic dogs sold out within 48 hours at the Canton Fair, with international buyers scrambling to secure units. These machines blend military-derived mobility with consumer-friendly AI, creating a new category of robotic companions that respond to human emotions and adapt to household environments. The speed of innovation continues to accelerate. China's maglev train technology now achieves speeds of 281 miles per hour, making conventional high-speed rail look sluggish by comparison. With over 23,500 miles of high-speed rail already operational, China isn't just building faster trains, it's reimagining how entire populations move across vast distances. In quantum computing, the Zhuchangji 3.0 processor matches American quantum systems qubit for qubit, erasing the technological gap in one of the most critical emerging technologies. This 105-qubit quantum computer doesn't just perform calculations. It potentially breaks encryption systems, optimizes supply chains, and models complex systems in ways classical computers cannot match. The economic data reinforces this technological surge. China's share of global chemical industry research and development spending skyrocketed from a mere 1% in 2013 to nearly 17% by 2022. In the same period, America's share declined to just over 18%. The trajectories couldn't be clearer, one ascending rapidly, the other gradually ceding ground. Even more striking, China installed more industrial robots in 2023 than every other country combined. These aren't simple assembly line machines, but sophisticated systems incorporating computer vision, machine learning, and adaptive programming. Each robot represents another step toward manufacturing supremacy, another job automated, another efficiency gained. The urban landscape itself transforms daily. EHang's EH-216S electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft received approval for commercial operations, turning science fiction into scheduled flights. Passengers in Guangzhou and Hefei now book aerial tours in autonomous aircraft, soaring above traffic in vehicles that pilot themselves. It's not just transportation, it's a glimpse of cities where the third dimension becomes as navigable as streets below. The reverberations of this technological earthquake reached Wall Street in January 2025, when DeepSeek's open-source artificial intelligence model sent shockwaves through trillion-dollar valuations. In a single trading day, NVIDIA shed $589 billion in market value, the largest one-day loss in stock market history. The reason was deceptively simple. A Chinese startup had achieved GPT-4 level performance while using just 3,000 NVIDIA H800 chips, compared to the tens of thousands typically required by Western AI giants. The model's efficiency wasn't just impressive, it was economically devastating to the established order. DeepSeek V3 required only $2.8 million to train, a fraction of the hundreds of millions spent developing comparable Western models. Within 48 hours of its release, developers worldwide had downloaded the code, launching thousands of new AI applications built on Chinese technological foundations. This wasn't happening in isolation. Beijing's semiconductor industry, once dismissed as hopelessly behind, now produces 7-nanometer chips domestically, despite unprecedented export controls. SMIC's breakthrough didn't match Taiwan's 3-nanometer technology, but it proved something more important. China could innovate under pressure, finding novel solutions when traditional paths were blocked. The pattern repeats across industries. BYD surpassed Tesla in global electric vehicle sales, delivering 1.76 million battery-powered cars in 2024. Each vehicle rolling off Chinese production lines incorporates domestically produced batteries, chips, and software, an entire supply chain insulated from Western control. In biotechnology, BGI Group's genetic sequencing capabilities now rival Illumina's monopoly. Chinese researchers sequence human genomes at scale, building databases that dwarf Western efforts. The implications for personalized medicine, drug discovery, and agricultural innovation multiply with each genome analyzed. The telecommunications sector tells a similar story. Despite being banned from Western 5G networks, Huawei's revenue grew to 700 billion yuan in 2024. The company didn't retreat. It pivoted, developing 5.5G technology while expanding into automotive systems, cloud computing, and enterprise software. Each smartphone sold in Africa, each base station installed in Latin America, extends China's technological influence beyond American reach. Solar panel manufacturing presents perhaps the starkest example of industrial dominance. Chinese companies control over 80% of global production capacity, with costs so low that Western manufacturers simply cannot compete. The solar panels powering America's green energy transition overwhelmingly bear "Made in China" labels, a dependency that grows deeper with each installation. One centered on Silicon Valley and its allies, the other on Beijing and the Belt and Road nations. The question isn't which will dominate, it's how they'll coexist. The answer becomes clearer with each passing month. Chinese universities now graduate more STEM PhDs than the United States and European Union combined. These aren't just numbers on paper. They represent millions of highly trained minds tackling fundamental scientific challenges. When China's research and development spending surpassed 3.3 trillion yuan in 2024, it wasn't just matching American investment. It was laying the groundwork for decades of innovation. The space program exemplifies this long-term thinking. China's Chang'e missions systematically explore the lunar surface, with plans for a crewed landing by 2030. The Tiangong space station hosts international astronauts, offering an alternative to the aging International Space Station. Each rocket launch, each successful docking, builds capabilities that will define humanity's expansion beyond Earth. Artificial intelligence development accelerates at breathtaking pace. Baidu's ERNIE model processes Mandarin with nuance that Western systems struggle to match. Alibaba's cloud services incorporate AI throughout their stack, from customer service to supply chain optimization. SenseTime's computer vision systems monitor urban environments with precision that would have seemed impossible just years ago. The financial technology sector showcases real-world implementation at scale. Alipay and WeChat Pay process over 250 trillion yuan in annual transactions, creating a near-cashless society where blockchain experiments and digital currency pilots operate at population scale. While Western central banks debate digital currencies, China's digital yuan already circulates in pilot cities, gathering data that will shape the future of money itself. In just a short time,
Huawei is very dangerous.
Rarely does a country go to war with a private company.
We have met the enemy, and it is Huawei.
We're not going to do business with Huawei.
Huawei represents a national security risk.
But is this really about Huawei, or is it something bigger than that?
every single Huawei Pura 80 Ultra vanished from shelves across China, leaving millions of eager customers empty-handed and tech analysts scrambling to understand what just happened. This wasn't a typical product launch. It was a technological earthquake that sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley boardrooms and forced competitors to completely rethink their strategies. The scenes outside Huawei stores on June 26th looked more like concert venues than electronics retailers. By dawn, thousands of people had already formed serpentine lines that wrapped around city blocks, with some customers camping overnight just to secure their chance at purchasing the device. Store employees reported unprecedented chaos as doors opened at 10 a.m. sharp, with the entire inventory evaporating faster than any smartphone launch in recent memory. What makes this phenomenon even more remarkable is that Huawei achieved this without access to Google services, without the Android ecosystem that most global consumers take for granted, and while facing the full weight of international sanctions. Yet here they were, creating the kind of consumer frenzy that Apple and Samsung could only dream of in the Chinese market. The secret weapon behind this madness? A camera system so revolutionary that professional photographers are calling it a paradigm shift in mobile imaging. Huawei didn't just improve their camera, they completely reimagined what a smartphone camera could be. The Pura 80 Ultra introduces the world's first dual periscope telephoto system with switchable lenses, a technological feat that industry experts believed was still years away from commercialization. Picture this: two separate telephoto lenses, one at 3.7x magnification with an f2.4 aperture, another at 9.4x with f3.6, both sharing a massive 1.28-inch sensor. This isn't just incremental improvement. It's a fundamental rethinking of how zoom photography works on a mobile device. When you switch between these lenses, the transition is seamless, maintaining image quality that rivals dedicated cameras costing thousands of dollars. The main camera pushes boundaries even further with its 1-inch sensor and variable aperture ranging from f1.6 to f4.0. This hardware captures an industry-leading 16 stops of dynamic range, meaning it can simultaneously capture detail in the brightest highlights and darkest shadows of a scene, something that even professional cameras struggle with. In real-world terms, this means sunset photos where you can see both the brilliant sky and the shadowed landscape below, or indoor shots where window light doesn't blow out while maintaining detail in darker corners. Dr. Chen Wei, a computational photography researcher at Beijing Institute of Technology, described the achievement as nothing short of miraculous. He explained, "What Huawei has done here isn't just evolution, it's revolution. They've essentially packed 3 professional-grade cameras into a device that fits in your pocket, with image processing capabilities that would have required a supercomputer just 5 years ago." The technological prowess extends beyond just the camera hardware. Powering this photographic powerhouse is the Kirin 9020 chipset, manufactured using an advanced 7-nanometer process. This silicon marvel features a Taishan V121 core running at 2.5 GHz, paired with the new Malyun 920 GPU clocked at 840 MHz. These aren't just numbers on a spec sheet. They translate to real-world performance that makes the Pura 80 Ultra feel impossibly fast and responsive. Memory and storage specifications read like a wish list. LPDDR5X RAM ensures lightning-fast app switching and multitasking, while UFS 4.00 storage delivers read and write speeds that make transferring massive photo and video files feel instantaneous. The Belong 6000 modem brings 5G connectivity that's not just fast, but also more power efficient than previous generations. But perhaps the most impressive feat is Harmony OS 5, Huawei's completely homegrown operating system that powers the entire experience. This isn't just a reskinned Android. It's a ground-up reimagining of what a mobile operating system should be. Deep AI integration means the phone learns your habits and optimizes performance accordingly. The camera app, in particular, showcases AI capabilities that seem almost magical, automatically adjusting settings for different scenes and subjects with uncanny accuracy. Richard Yu, chairman of Huawei's device business group, couldn't contain his excitement during a hastily arranged press conference following the sellout. "We knew we had something special," he admitted, but even we were caught off guard by this response. The Pura 80 Ultra represents years of research, countless innovations, and most importantly, our unwavering commitment to our customers who have stood by us through challenging times. The economic implications of this launch extend far beyond Huawei's bottom line. Industry analysts estimate that the Pura 80 Ultra's success could shift market dynamics in China's premium smartphone segment, potentially capturing significant market share from both Apple and Samsung. Investment firm TechInsights Asia projects that if Huawei can maintain production to meet demand, the Pura 80 series could generate over $15 billion in revenue in China alone during its first year. This success story becomes even more remarkable when you consider the obstacles Huawei has faced. Cut off from crucial supply chains, banned from using American technology, and facing skepticism from international markets, the company has essentially rebuilt itself from the ground up. Every component, every line of code, every innovation in the Pura 80 Ultra represents a step toward complete technological independence. The design philosophy behind the Pura 80 Ultra also deserves recognition. In an era where most smartphones look virtually identical, rectangular slabs of glass and metal, Huawei has created something that stands out. The curved edges flow seamlessly into the frame, while the camera module, despite housing such advanced technology, integrates elegantly into the back panel. Available in several stunning finishes, including a new Aurora Twilight color that shifts between purple and gold depending on the light, it's a device that makes a statement before you even turn it on. The real test came when professional photographers started putting the Pura 80 Ultra through its paces. Zhang Lin, a renowned wildlife photographer with over 2 decades of experience, took the device on a week-long expedition to document endangered birds in remote Yunnan province.